What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty from Ty Drives, and here we have a 2023 Audi SQ5 to look at today. We're going to go over all the features starting on the exterior, then we'll pop the hood, see what kind of drivetrain we're working with, and also get an exhaust clip. Very cool option this particular car has is the Sport exhaust. So we actually have real exposed exhaust tips, which many SQ5s do not. We're also going to get into the trunk area, display how much room we have in there, and also get a good look at the rear and front seats, all the features in between. And we'll also get it out on a first-person point-of-view test drive towards the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned. Just so we know what we're looking at here, we have a black-on-black beauty with the Premium Plus trim level. We also have the S Sport package, navigation package, black optic package, and warm weather package. So very nicely loaded up SQ5 to take a look at today. Let's take a look at the headlamps first. Getting into the details, we have full LED units for all trim levels and all Q5s. So LED bulbs power the high beams, low beams, turn signals, and daytime running lights. Of course, we do have the black optic package, so you see all of the trim on the vehicle, all around the grills are all blacked out, and you also see black elements for the roof rails, the lower door trim, and all the way around the windows. But we do have some sensors in here for your adaptive cruise control, and the smaller sensors spread throughout the bumper are for your parking sensors. Very nice large grille with the Audi rings and the front view camera. We do have a 360 degrees view camera system, and the SQ5 badging up front. Very nice, sort of almost clamshell hood, meaning that the hood extends out pretty nice, and we have some pretty cool creases that go down. 20-inch bi-colored wheels for the black optic package on the SQ5. Very nice looking wheels. Even have the little Audi Sport painted on the bottom of the rims, and some pretty beefy brake calipers. We have 255/45 tires up front. Taking a look down the side on our rear view mirrors, we have turn signal indicators and a blind spot warning on the inside of the mirror. And below the glass on the mirror, we have more cameras for, again, that 360 view. Smart key entry of the little pad here to lock, and then put your hand behind the handle to unlock. And that goes for all 4 door handles. Again, a standard feature on any Q5. Let's take a look at the window stickers, since we do have a few smaller options we're working with as well. So here is that Sport exhaust tips, an extra $1,350, which is a pretty hefty option. Then we also have the black optic package down below, and a couple other small things like the S-beam, the light up lights on the bottom of the front door, and things like that. Back here, just like up front, we have LED tail lamps in the sort of sequential style for the turn signal. So the tail lights, brake lights, turn signals are all LED powered. Again, more black optic elements, such as this bar that goes below the lip on the trunk lid. And also, the sort of rear diffuser has more of that black optic elements. And take a look at that. Real exhaust tips. Not many of the SQ5s have this option. I wish all of them did. And you also do get a little bit of a different exhaust tone. So we'll definitely get an exhaust clip right after I show you guys the engine. Rear parking sensors back here, and the rear fog lights, reverse lights are down there. Right below the Audi rings, we have the trunk release and the reversing camera. Yeah, take a look at this black beauty. It really does look pretty good with the black optic package and the black metallic paint. So, under the hood, the SQ5 has a 3-liter turbocharged V6. It's good for 349 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. So a pretty powerful mid-size SUV. It'll definitely get you where you need to go, and pretty swiftly. Now, the SQ5 will come hooked up to an 8-speed torque converter, automatic transmission, and quattro all-wheel drive. So back here, the powered tailgate reveals a pretty good amount of space for the SQ5. As you can see, we have a bunch of goodies back here too. So we have all-weather and carpeted floor mats, as well as crossbars and the extendable cargo shade, which those two come standard with the SQ5 as of 2023. With some pretty nice LED illumination strips to either side. And also to either side, we have these little handles. So if we pull those handles down, it'll actually fold the corresponding side of the rear seats down flat. And technically you can fold down the rear seats at a 40-20-40 split, but default they go down as a sort of 60-40, and then you can also fold down the center pass-through independent from both sides of the seats. We also have this button over here to raise and lower the rear axle of air suspension. So if you have a pretty heavy box in your hands, you don't want to lift it up very high, you just press and hold this button right down here, and the air suspension in the rear will lower down, thus giving you a smaller lift in height for your cargo. One more thing to mention back here, below the cargo floor, you do have a space saver spare tire. We have another light over here to illuminate the ground below, and two buttons to close the trunk lid. One to lock the vehicle and close, and then one to simply just close. Alright, so let's start off the interior on the SQ5 with the rear cabin. So we'll kind of go over a couple of things back here and then make our way up front. So the rear door panel, since we have the warm weather package, has some nice privacy shades or sun shades, which you can click in up top. We have our door handle here with the nice carbon fiber trim. Very nicely appointed back here too with the leather and contrast stitching, as well as the window switch right up here. A pretty nice door bin, and a very nice Bang & Olufsen sound system that's now standard on the Premium Plus trim level. Taking a look back here, very nice comfy seats. We actually have the comfort-oriented seats with the warm weather package, which gives you these nice kind of dimpled leather seats to kind of let them breathe, so the hotness doesn't stay in for the back, and so the cooling function can get through in the front. Right next to our middle headrests, we have the button to fold down the pass-through. So that's kind of what it looks like when it's down. You can also fold down the rear seats with this little handle right below the cushion. As you see, it folds down like so. And if you push it down, it'll actually click and lock into place. One more thing you can fold down is the center armrest. That'll fold down like so. You have a nice padded area to rest your arm, and a couple of cup holders there. As you can see, we have a full black headliner with the panoramic sunroof, and the shade for that sunroof blocks 100% of the light coming in. Back here, it is somewhat roomy. Now, we do have the comfort seats, which take up a little bit more space. They're actually a bit thicker than the normal seats. So we have a little bit less legroom in this particular vehicle, but it still isn't bad. But I'm about 5'10", and I still have a couple of inches sitting behind myself. There is enough room to fit a smaller individual in the center seat in case you needed to use that for a little bit. But we do have some nice air vents back here and an individual temperature control. We will only get heated seats on the Prestige trim level, so just keep that in mind, because before you could actually get heated seats for the rear in the Premium Plus trim. We have two USB-Cs, two USB Type A's for charging, and a 12-volt power outlet. Again, the full black headliner, and you could see that in relation to the rear headrest, the panoramic sunroof is pretty large. We also have LED illumination back here and your grab handles, and a pretty nice look at the dashboard. So just a tidbit of information: if you get the warm weather package, you can only get a black interior. However, if you get the more basic interior with the sort of suede inserts, it's either black or gray. And if you opt for the fine Napa leather seats, you can either get black, gray, or a nice bright red interior. So just a little tidbit of color combinations there available for the interior. Again, more carbon fiber up here, and we also have two-person memory seat for the driver's seats with the lock and unlock. And also from this angle, you can kind of look and see the blind spot warning right on the inside of the mirror. We have power child locks individual for the rear, and we also have our controls for our heated and power folding mirrors. One more control on the door to open up the trunk lid. We have a couple of speakers on the door, one upper and lower, and then a little bit of storage over here. To the left of the dash, we have a nice air vent with some more carbon trim. We have our front and rear fog lights over here, as well as all your regular headlight controls and a gauge dimmer. Powered tilt and telescoping steering wheel on this SQ5. You can see a little toggle for that. And right over here we have some storage. It's all felt lined. And it is a pretty large storage bin, so you could keep rather large objects in there if you like. Hood release and our nice sporty pedals down here. And take a look at these seats. Now again, as I said before, these are the more comfort-oriented style of seats with your four-way headrest, so in and out, up and down. Very nice sort of cloth for your piping and contrast stitching. Just a very nice, comfortable seat, and very nice looking as well. We have all of our regular controls, four-way lumbar, in addition to the ability to move back and forth your thigh extensions. Alright, so here's the key. You got the SQ5, pretty traditional Audi key, but you also have the S badge on the back. Speaking of the back, you also have these two little pinchers. You could kind of press these in simultaneously like so, and a physical key will pop out. Other than that, you have the lock, unlock, trunk release, and panic alarm on the key. Nice little spot to put the key right below the volume knob. And our push button start is right down here. And we do get a nice deep growl from that V6 when you start it up. It's really got a, although it has the same engine as the S4 and S5, it really does have a little bit of a different engine sound. Very nice leather wrap steering wheel. We have kind of smooth leather at the top and bottom, and this sort of dimpled, more grippy leather where your hands are going to grip. We have the paddle shifters on the rear of the steering wheel mounted to the wheel, of course. And on our spokes, we have all kinds of buttons. These which will control your virtual cockpit, and these which are your media controls. So we have back and forth to switch the songs, up and down for the radio volume, Bluetooth telephone, and voice commands, as well as our heated steering wheel button. Behind the steering wheel, we have a couple of stalks that we can look at here. We have our turn signals, automatic high beams, and also a button at the end to shut on and off your lane keep assist. We also have adaptive cruise control on this car, and all those functionalities are controlled through this lower stalk. On the opposite end, we have another stalk for your front and rear wipers. All right, so virtual cockpit time. That is our fully digital screen in front of the driver here. Kind of takes place of actual gauges, but pretty much same functionality. So we could press the view button at any time and kind of configure what you want to see. That'll bring up a nice tachometer right front and center, digital speedometer, and what your gear in is right below. Pressing view again will kind of enlarge what you see in the center, and we can kind of go down to a date and time screen, real time and average miles per gallon. We have short and long-term memory, energy consumption screen, your lane, your driver's assistance screen, and then as well as traffic sign recognition. We can go over, you also have an audio screen, a phone screen, and you can also pull up the navigation, and the Google Maps is activated to sort of demo in this car. Very, very neat sort of display here with the Google Maps and the optional built-in navigation packages this car has. Up here we have a couple of speakers that kind of span the dashboard, and that takes me down to the center screen here. And let me kind of configure the car around so we don't have all this blinking going on with the camera. Alright, so we can just quickly go through the screen here. Now we have shortcuts to this side over here, and we can also pull down from the top to get your audio adjustments and garage door openers and things like that up there. But going back to home, it gives you a nice combination of your radio, telephone, and nav. We could also kind of scroll over to the rest of our apps. We have what's playing down here, and it'll kind of give you all the information if you click on it. And if you're on Sirius, you can kind of skip around in the song as well. And then you have kind of all your different sources there. Media and phone, as well as your navigation screen. Again, the Google Maps is activated on this particular car. Otherwise, you will have a more traditional navigation screen, or you can just use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto for navigation as well. And the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto will be activated right over here, and it's wireless. We have the vehicle screen here where we can pull up the drive select. We have a couple of different modes: off-road, all-road, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. And in individual, we have a couple of different things that we can configure, which is pretty neat. We also have one extra button here to raise and lower manually the air suspension. So if we go back, we have more, driver's assistance functionalities. We can go through that so you can see what kind of driver's assistance this car comes with. Lighting and visibility, all different kinds of settings that you can go through on this vehicle. We also have the system settings right there. And if we scroll over, we have sort of different users you could set up and different things you could use with the SiriusXM and Audi Connect. Right below the screen, we have the hazards button and a nice big strip of carbon fiber that goes all the way into the passenger area. Very simple 3-zone climate control. We have the heated seats and cooled seats for both the driver and passenger. We have our temperatures on these scroll wheels. There's also automatic, so you press it in, that'll activate the automatic function. Defrosters over here, and then where you want the air to come out, right over here. AC functionalities, the fan speed, and then you can kind of sync or set up the rear climate control if you'd like. And these are kind of all of the passenger settings over there. Down here we have a quick drive mode selector. We can also turn on and off your auto start stop, your traction control, and your you can also bring up your parking sensors and the parking cameras as well. So you press that button, it'll pop up right here. You have all of your different views over here. So we have a wide angle front view, a sort of normal front top down view, and that'll kind of display the parking sensors over here. Otherwise, the top down view will be on your side. We have the rear view camera, wide angle rear view, and then the front and rear wheels, so you don't get to curb those expensive wheels. Down here we have a small storage tray right here with a USB and another 12-volt power outlet. We have some more carbon fiber that surrounds this gloss black pad down here with some more storage, and again the gear selector. We can press the unlock and put it down into drive. Once you're in drive, you'll kind of default to a sort of comfort driving mode. If you bump it down like so, that'll put the transmission into a sport mode, so kind of like hold your gears and things like that. And then from there, you can also switch it over to manual, which you can shift down here or with the paddle shifters. And then of course we have reverse, which activates, I should say, the parking sensors and the cameras. Then we also have the P for park. Nice little S badge down here with the shifter. We have electronic parking brake. As I mentioned earlier, the volume knob and a little place to store your key. We have cup holders down here, and if you lift this up, we have a USB-C and a little bit of storage in there. And we have that nice carbon fiber strip with the Quattro badging. The lockable glove box opens up so that you could have some coin holders, pen holders, and lighting in here. It's all felt lined, and a pretty good amount of space in there too. The sun visors open up so that you have a mirror and light. We also have our center stack up here with the LED lighting, kind of a bunch of lighting control up here, SOS and sort of informational buttons, and two separate buttons for your sunshade, and another one to vent or slide the glass portion of the sunroof. Nice frameless mirror too with the auto dimming and compass in there. And now that the shade is completely open, we can see that it's a very nice large panoramic sunroof, and it looks pretty good when it's all open. So that pretty much does it for all the features of the SQ5. Let's get it out on the road and see how it drives. All right, let's get this SQ5 out on the road. All right, so before we get going here, let's get the drive select screen all set up and ready to go, because we're gonna bounce back and forth between comfort and dynamic. I'm gonna switch a few times just so you guys can see that I'm switching. But throughout this video, we're gonna get a nice feel for this car, and be just about a 10-minute test drive. And we'll get it into a couple of different instances here. And we're gonna first get it down to this dead end here. We'll test out the turning radius for those of you who live in the city. I'm not quite sure what's going on there with the traffic, but back to the test drive. We will get it out onto a more straight road, so we'll get up to 45, 50 miles an hour. We'll kind of see what the noise levels of both the tires and the wind noise and stuff is going on there. So kind of entail what's good with the noises and things. We'll then get a nice acceleration test. We'll kind of get it from 25 miles an hour. We'll put the transmission into sport mode. We'll leave it in sport, not manual, just so we could see how fast the 8-speed automatic will change up gears for us, and also how fast we can get up to 60 from there. And at that point, it'll lead us onto a very nice back road. You know, lots of elevation change, lots of corners and things like that we could throw it into, as well as a pretty bumpy road in which we could switch it into comfort mode and test out the suspension. Very good turning circle too, by the way. So in case you guys live in the city or like to visit the city every once in a while, we will have no problems with getting in and out of tight parking spaces or even parallel spots. Now, as I said before, and I was very excited to show you guys, this particular car has the sport exhaust tips as a little bit of an option. And that does give the SQ5 a little bit of a different sound. For those keen ears, you know, it's not too much louder, but it is a little bit more of a different pitch to the exhaust. Now, when we do open it up and get our acceleration test going, you'll definitely be able to hear it. But you know, even just with some subtle driving around, you do get a nice little grumble of the V6, which is nice. But yeah, with the air suspension, we get a very, very nice ride. And just cruising around like so, it is just an easy driver. You know, the steering is nice and light when you're in comfort mode, and the sound insulation is excellent. We just had a FedEx truck pass us, and we really couldn't hear it go by. And we do have some pretty large 20-inch wheels, you know, nothing overbearing, but you know, so not too bad of road noise too with these tires. Yeah, just a very exceptional use for daily driving. Now at this point, we are going to switch over to dynamic mode, which will kind of lower the air suspension a bit, make it a bit stiffer. It'll stiffen up the steering wheel just a bit and increase our throttle response. And we're going to turn onto this back road here, and this is where we get it up to 25, and we'll punch it and see how fast we can get it to 60. And here we go. The SQ5 never disappoints to put a smile on my face. 349 horsepower, almost at that 350 mark, which is a pretty good number for a vehicle of this size. Some of its competitors do have a bit more horsepower, but let me tell you, this is plenty for this car, and it will definitely put a smile on your face just like it has for mine. 369 pound-feet of torque too. That is a pretty good figure for a V6. So yeah, as soon as it shifted into third gear, that thing really started to take off. You know, these cars are really at home at the higher speeds, and it just seems like it accelerates at a faster and faster rate, to be honest with you. It's just a very, very nice powertrain. Immediately, you could tell when putting it into dynamic mode, the air suspension definitely firms up quite a bit when going over bumps. The exhaust is giving us nice little burbles on downshifts and upshifts. Even when you let off the throttle a little bit, it gives a little burble. And let's use the paddle shifters quick. Nice close gear ratios too for this 8-speed automatic, and that definitely keeps you in the power band for longer when you have close gear ratios. Just a really pretty good sounding V6 too, if you ask me. Now we do have a nice S-turn coming up, which we'll get a good feel for the dynamics of the vehicle. I'll just wait for our traffic to pass by. We'll definitely turn that start-stop off so that the vehicle doesn't lose any warmth. And the tires aren't all that warm at all, so we're not gonna throw it into the corner like a madman, but we will get a feel for it in the corner. Definitely a pretty dynamic feeling SUV. You know, it definitely feels like the center of gravity is nice down low. It feels like there isn't a very tall roof on this car, and you could definitely chuck it into a corner. That is pretty darn good. Now we do have all-season tires, and even with the all-season tires, this thing grips up pretty nicely. Now we do have the bumpiest section of the road right now. As you can see, the road is all pretty much patchwork, and not very good patchwork at that, so we have a pretty good evaluation of the suspension here. And yeah, I mean, the difference between dynamic and comfort driving modes are pretty substantial. The steering wheel definitely weights up quite a bit in dynamic. Still not that heavy, but it's a very noticeable difference between the driving modes there. Something else that also happens is the suspension. So you can definitely notice that the suspension firms up in dynamic and definitely loosens up in comfort. So very, very comfortable car to drive on your daily commute, and a pretty fun SUV to put in the corners on the weekends in dynamic mode. Pretty impressive. It's almost like it turns into a different car between the two modes there. Pretty neat. Even in comfort mode, we get a nice growl from the exhaust at lower speeds. Yeah, it does have a nice low pitch growl to the V6 sound. So I didn't get a chance to show you guys the lane keep assist on this particular vehicle, but I can explain how it works. It'll kind of gently keep you in your lane by, you know, if it detects the lanes, which is kind of a windy road right now, the lanes kind of in the gauge cluster will turn green. If you go outside of a lane, it will turn red and kind of gently steer you, sort of automated steering you back into your own respective lane. And we'll give it a nice little acceleration coming up the hill here. Great mid-range power too. Alrighty, that pretty much does it for the 2023 Audi SQ5. Personally, for wrap-up thoughts, I think this is a great all-rounder, perfect daily driver almost in that respect too, because you have the sportiness of a sports car and the utility of a SUV all in one, and it does both pretty darn well, both the sportiness and utilitarian aspects. But I hope you have enjoyed the SQ5 just as much as I have, and I also hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one.